What if I told you there's a book in the Bible so powerful and so dangerous that it's been feared, banned, and even misused for centuries? A book that has inspired revolutions, toppled rulers, and made people question everything they thought they knew about life, faith, and the end of the world. Why? Because this book isn't just a collection of stories or teachings. It's a warning, a challenge, a vision of what could happen when everything we rely on falls apart. And depending on how you read it, it can either fill you with hope or leave you trembling. Today, we're diving into the most dangerous book in the Bible. We'll uncover the secrets that make it so controversial, so mysterious, and so utterly captivating. We'll explore its history, its meaning, and why it still matters today. But before we open its pages, let me ask you this. What would you do if this book wasn't just a story, but a warning meant for you? To understand why this book is considered the most dangerous, we first need to take a step back. Picture this. It's the 1st century. The Roman Empire is at its peak, ruling with an iron fist. For those in power, control is everything, over lands, people, and even beliefs. But under the surface, something is brewing. Small groups of people, scattered across cities like Ephesus, Corinth, and Rome, are gathering in secret. They call themselves followers of the way. Today, we know them as Christians. These communities are small and vulnerable. They live in a world where their beliefs are seen as a threat, both to the religious leaders of the time and to the Roman Empire itself. And then one day, a letter arrives. A letter so strange, so vivid, that it sends shockwaves through their gatherings. This isn't a letter of encouragement or simple teaching. No, this is something far more mysterious. It's the Book of Revelation, or as it's called in Greek, Apocalypsis, which means unveiling. And from the very first words, it's clear, this is no ordinary book. Blessed is the one who reads aloud the words of this prophecy, it says, and blessed are those who hear it and take to heart what is written in it, because the time is near. The time is near? For what? This is the question that has haunted readers for centuries. And as the book unfolds, it doesn't just tell a story, it paints a vivid, almost terrifying picture of the future. War, famine, fire, the rise of beasts, and the fall of empires. It's a vision so intense that even today, people debate its meaning. But why was this book written, and why did it feel so dangerous, then and now? To answer that, we need to dive deeper into the world of the early Christians. We need to understand the fears they faced, the hope they clung to, and why this strange, symbolic book became a lifeline and a lightning rod. The Book of Revelation was written by a man named John. He wasn't sitting in the safety of his home or a quiet study. No, John was a prisoner, exiled to the rocky island of Patmos for his faith. It was there, in isolation and under the oppressive shadow of the Roman Empire, that he wrote this strange and powerful book. But John wasn't just writing for himself. He was writing to 7 Christian communities spread across Asia Minor, places where believers faced persecution, temptation, and fear. These were people struggling to remain faithful in a world that seemed set against them. Revelation wasn't just a book, it was a lifeline. John's vision began with an unveiling, a glimpse into heaven itself. He described a throne surrounded by 24 elders, creatures with eyes all around, and a multitude singing praises. This wasn't just poetry, it was a declaration. No matter how powerful Rome seemed, no matter how hopeless life on earth felt, ultimate authority rested with God. This vision wasn't just meant to comfort, it was meant to embolden. Then came the warnings. Letters addressed to each of the 7 churches called out their struggles. To one church, he warned against losing their passion for their faith. To another, he condemned their complacency. But there were also promises. To those who stayed faithful, there would be victory, life, and a place in God's eternal kingdom. John's words weren't just meant for his time. They echoed through history, challenging anyone who heard them to examine their own hearts. But Revelation wasn't just about comfort or correction. It was about pulling back the curtain on the spiritual reality behind the world's chaos. John described a series of visions, seals being broken, trumpets sounding, and bowls of wrath being poured out. Each one revealed the consequences of human rebellion and divine justice. The imagery was intense, even terrifying. War, famine, plagues. It wasn't just a story of the future, it was a mirror reflecting the world's brokenness. Yet, in the midst of all this chaos, there was a recurring theme: hope. Even as the forces of darkness seemed overwhelming, John's vision pointed to a greater truth. Evil might have its day, but it wouldn't have the final word. A rider on a white horse, faithful and true, would come to bring justice. A new heaven and a new earth would replace the brokenness of the old. Tears would be wiped away, and death would be no more. For the early Christians, these images were more than just metaphors. They were a promise that their suffering wasn't meaningless. Every injustice they endured, every act of faith in the face of persecution, was part of a bigger story. Revelation reminded them, and reminds us, that even when the world seems out of control, there is a greater plan at work. John's vision introduces characters that are larger than life, symbols of good and evil, locked in an epic struggle. One of the most infamous is the Beast, described as a creature rising from the sea with 7 heads and 10 horns. It demands worship and wields immense power, deceiving nations and oppressing those who refuse to bow. This figure has been interpreted in countless ways throughout history. For the early Christians, it was obvious: the beast was Rome. Its power, its control, its demand for loyalty above all else, this was the empire personified. But the symbolism doesn't stop there. John describes a second beast, one that rises from the earth. This creature works alongside the first, forcing people to take a mark, the infamous Mark of the Beast. Without it, no one can buy or sell. For centuries, this mark has sparked fear and fascination. What does it mean? Is it literal, a warning about some future system of control? Or is it symbolic, a challenge to examine where our true allegiance lies? Revelation doesn't just describe the forces of evil, it also gives us a glimpse of their downfall. John's vision is clear. No matter how powerful these forces seem, they are doomed to fall. The Lamb, an image of Christ, stands in stark contrast to the terrifying beasts. Where the beasts rule with fear, the Lamb reigns with love and sacrifice. Where the beasts demand worship, the Lamb offers freedom. This contrast between the Lamb and the beasts is central to Revelation's message. It forces the reader to ask, who will you follow? The powers of the world, which promise safety but demand your soul, or the Lamb, who offers true life but may lead you through suffering first? It's no wonder this book has been so divisive. It's not just a story, it's a choice. The stakes grow even higher as John's vision reaches its climax. He describes a final battle, a showdown between the forces of good and evil. The imagery is intense: angels blowing trumpets, bowls of wrath poured out on the earth, armies gathered for war. And then, in a dramatic turn, a rider appears. Dressed in white, with a name written on his thigh that only he knows, this rider is called Faithful and True. He comes to bring justice, to end the reign of the beasts, and to establish a new kingdom. But here's the twist. The victory doesn't come through violence or force. It comes through truth. The sword the rider carries isn't in his hand. It comes from his mouth, a symbol of the power of God's word. This isn't just a story of war, it's a story of redemption. A reminder that ultimate power doesn't belong to empires or armies, but to the one who speaks life into existence. As the battle ends, John's vision shifts again. The old world, the one ruled by fear, greed, and corruption, is gone. In its place, a new heaven and a new earth appear. This isn't just a restoration, it's a recreation. Everything is made new, and at the center of it all is a city, a shining city with gates that are never closed. There's no need for a temple or a sun, because God's presence fills every corner. This vision of the new creation is where Revelation turns from dangerous to hopeful. It's not a book meant to terrify, it's a book meant to inspire. It shows that no matter how dark the world may seem, there is light ahead. No matter how strong the forces of evil appear, they cannot stand against the truth. And no matter how broken things feel, there is a promise of renewal. But Revelation leaves us with a challenge. It's not just a vision of the future, it's a call to action in the present. Will we live as citizens of this new kingdom, even while the old one still surrounds us? Will we have the courage to stand against the beasts of our time, even when it costs us? And will we trust that the Lamb's way of love, sacrifice, and truth is the way that leads to life? That's why Revelation has been called dangerous. It doesn't let us stay comfortable. It forces us to see the world as it is and challenges us to live for something greater. It reminds us that no empire, no power, no beast can stand forever, and it promises that in the end,